In this one, guys, we're going to try and get through all the parts, get finished on the scrub up, get the stuff polished up so where we can start reinstalling it back on the bike. So stick with me and we'll see how far we get. So we're going to start by rinsing it off and really scrubbing it in and trying to get rid of all this grime that gets stuck up in here and get it off of the bike. All right, when it comes to these frames, they are a ton of work to get cleaned up, but it really pays off in the end. So I'm just soaking it down with the purple stuff here, some Simple Green. We're gonna soak down all the heavy spots so we can really get at it and scrub it up. We got an assortment of things here, man. We got wire brushes, some toothbrushes, some Scotch-Brite pads, you know, little scrubber things. We're gonna really try and get into these spots, get them all cleaned out. They don't really come off too bad. But it's just a time-consuming process. So what we've got here, guys, is a bucket of Dawn dish soap. So a bucket of Dawn dish soap and some water. It really cuts through the grease. It's probably the cheapest thing you can get. And I just use this little scrubber thing I picked up at one of the dollar stores. So we'll just give her a good scrub. If the Dawn dish soap doesn't cut through it, we put some more of the Simple Green on there. Get this thing looking brand new.
Was it me? Is it me? Am I deluded? I'm the one who's always sorry, the conclusion. Even though I offer all of the solutions, I wish you loved me like I love you. It's stupid.
Well, guys, we got 90% of everything cleaned up. So now it's just a matter of getting it inside and starting to polish. So we're back in the shop. We've got the frame all laid out. And what we're going to start with is I went and bought these cool little Scotch-Brite pads. And what these Scotch-Brite pads will allow you to do is get in all these little hard to get areas. So we're going to go over that. I'll leave a link to these suckers in the description. They're just cheap ones off Amazon, but they really seem to work, you know. Anyway, we're going to go over and start getting at all the other little spots and getting the grime out of areas. And then we'll show you guys how to get that brush look. These little tools, they work really good at getting in here. So we'll show you guys. So what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to use this Autosol metal polish. Now, this stuff will make this chrome. Like, it will look like chrome if you really polish it. But we're going to use a Scotch-Brite pad and a little bit, like I'm talking dabs of this stuff, to get that brushed look into the frame. I'll show you what I mean. So I got an open tube, and I'm just going to put a few dabs along the frame. And we'll take our very fine Scotch-Brite pad. We're just going to stay consistent with our brush strokes, up and down, all the way up, all the way down. You may need to do it a few times. A little bit more. What this is doing is it's making it consistent. So it's allowing all the scratches and stuff that are in your frame to look like they're one direction by buffing it out. And the key is not to do circles, but to simply go up and down. And it takes some time, but it's definitely worth it in the end.
all the scars, I'm a human being. Cover them with tattoos so you can't see. Knew it from the start, you had problems with me and the things I could be.
So if you guys didn't want the brush to look with the Scotch-Brite pad, just get some ultra fine, like the most finest steel wool you can get, and just buff it with the steel wool, and eventually, or like a toothbrush, and it will buff right up to chrome. But the problem with having a chrome one, I've done them before, is that when you ride them, if you're gonna ride them, your legs and stuff are gonna scratch, and you're gonna scratch that chrome look. Hopefully you guys can see the difference here. Let me zoom out a little bit. The difference in what this has accomplished. But definitely the frame looks a million times better than it did. You know, it's gonna look really good once it comes together. There's a lot of stuff that still has to happen with the install, so we'll be wiping this thing up the whole time, but it is the easiest point to polish it when everything's out of the frame. So we're gonna do the exact same thing to the subframe. All right, when we're dealing with the swing arm, one of the big things is gonna be getting the old chain tighteners out and taking off these plates. Let me show you what I mean. These impact drivers are a must-have tool when you're working on dirt bikes. They come with the 4 different sizes, some hollow ground bits, and a perfectly fitted bit. Like when these go in, they are tight. And we're gonna place it in the screw hole. We're gonna try and turn it by hand. Oh, it's actually loose. We got lucky. But they're a perfectly fitted bit. So if you don't have the Japanese cut tools, these impact drivers are a perfect fit. If you have one, you can use it. But sometimes these are seized and you need to hit them. Hit this with a hammer. And then it impacts it. So we're gonna basically do the same process. Get our Scotch-Brite pad, some Autosol, try and clean all this up. If there's any major burrs down here, we're gonna take them off. We're gonna use our Dremel, but we've actually switched to a little wire brush. So we're gonna turn it on and try and get down in here. I'll leave a link below for these wire brushes. But they work really, really good. While we have our swing arm off the bike, what we're gonna do is push these bearing spacers, the spacers out, and we're gonna repack the grease for these bearings. There's nothing wrong with these bearings. They're like brand new. I don't wanna stick my grubby hands in there, but we're gonna repack some more grease in there. They're an open bearing, they're not a sealed bearing, and they have a seal on them. The seals are still good, so we'll get some grease down in there and keep going. So I've been using this Maximum waterproof grease. Seems to work pretty good. I'm just gonna get a bunch on this rubber glove and then jam it into the bearings. We'll re-lubricate this shaft, reinstall it. Grease on that, reinstall it. And we're done. It's that simple. Do the other side, same thing. It's just a matter of cleaning up the excess grease, which there's probably going to be a pile of it after we got done cleaning our swing arm. We'll just reinstall our axle to keep everything together until we install it in the bike. Perfect. So we've got all the major frame components polished up. You guys got to see how I kind of do the brush aluminum effect using the Autosol and Scotch-Brite pads. those little tools I was using, the stuff I got from Amazon, they actually worked really good. So I'm going to keep using those. But anyway, guys, if you like the progress of the videos, like and subscribe, leave a comment down below. And thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.
But they hate from inside, you see, hate themselves in society, so I let